Good morning, everyone. I am Amy, your hidden consumer expert, and I'm going to be coming live every week, every day this week to cover my trip to France, some fun things that I've learned and discovered, but also a new kind of expanded on and supported kind of where I take brands when I work with them. So today's going to be a kind of a quick overview, but we're also going to kind of dive into the side of allergies and food sensitivities and intolerances that aren't recognized by a majority of people and the issues that brings up and how can that impact your business. So as we go through the different sections every single day leading up till Friday, I'm going to kind of bring in topics on what is it we need to do as businesses to get more money into our company through the hidden consumer. On Friday, we're going to dive right into how do we market to the hidden consumer. And I'm going to take all these themes that I've brought up throughout the week into one nice little package, and we can go from there. So let's get started. So today's topic with my trip is going to actually deal more with airport security. I have the very, very unique situation where I'm allergic to plastics. Not everybody in this world understands that. In the United States, dealing with TSA can be fascinating and always traumatic. And one of those things that have come up for me is how do I best deal with TSA in order to get what I need safely through? So, the biggest issue here with being allergic to plastics that people really have a hard time wrapping their head around is plastics isn't just plastic bottles. So, when I go through TSA, especially the first time, I had my own water bottle, filled it with my safe water, unsealed. I mean, it was just my safe water. I was told I would not be allowed to drink water for 8 to 10 hours because they weren't going to allow me to have my water through. I said, there's no other water I get. The first thing out of every TS agent's mouth is, well, we have water fountains in there with filters. You'll be fine. This is the first problem. Did you know that water filtration systems, the filters, not only in public places like schools, courthouses, airports, but also the filtration systems you buy for your house are made of plastic? And guess what I'm allergic to? Which means I cannot bring an empty bottle to the airport and fill it up. I am going to give a shout out to LAX. I never thought I'd give a shout out to LAX for any reason, but they did have super teeny bottles of glass bottles of Evian water. So shout out to LAX for being ahead of the curve and having the small bottles of glass bottles of water. Turned out I needed because I ended up going into a slight allergic reaction with some food I brought. Yeah, we'll get into that later this week. It was definitely an interesting uh, week or past 10 days. But the flip side of it was coming home and having to do the same process, but with the French TSA, right? They don't call them a TSA, but that's the equivalent from US standards. Now, what I learned with dealing with the United States is I don't bring my own bottles, and I don't bring my personal water bottles filled with my safe water. What I do is I buy glass bottles of water and I take them with me. So they're sealed, never opened. Um, as long as, the US TSA actually works with me better when I do that in that system. They don't like the glass bottles, but they will work with me on that. French TSA has a whole different system, which when I did my research into it, I couldn't get enough details to really figure out what it was I needed to do. Turns out I needed a doctor's note, which our American TSA does not recognize. Isn't that fun? No global standard here for people with allergies. And that's a big, big issue for me is we've got to figure out how people can travel because unfortunately for me was had they not allowed my water bottle to go through, I would have had to go 24 hours with no water Nothing, nothing to drink. There's no coffee. There's nothing. I would get nothing to drink had they denied me my glass water bottle, which I purchased in California, took all the way to France just so I could take it back to California on my return flight because I wasn't sure I could find glass bottles of water in France. I was right. I could not find glass bottles of water in France, not at least in the region I was in, and I didn't find anything at the airport either. So I've got some really amazing experiences that came out of France, but dealing with travel internationally is just as traumatic as traveling in within my own country, and that is unfortunate. One of the things I do believe we need, like I stated earlier, is we need a global system for how to handle allergies. Like people fly, we want to go out, I don't want to be stuck only visiting one area because of my allergies. I want to be able to still enjoy life. My disability slows me down enough. I don't need my allergies to compound on top of that. So, where's the solution here? How do we create a global security net of how to deal with people with allergies so we have got one system that everybody can work with? And how do we deal with the people like me that are allergic to plastics? And that's becoming more and more prevalent. I get that not everyone understands the depth that we use plastics in any version. In my book, I absolutely do go through this though to talk to people about what it is we need to do to understand how pervasive plastic is in our society. It's not just water bottles. It's not just what you buy your soda in. It is everything you use. I mean, plastics are even used in clothing. So how do we get through that? How do we, as a society, figure out and get everybody on the same page to understand how much plastic we're truly using? And that's got to be one of the big things we talk about. So in the book, there's a whole chapter on how plastic usage, what it's doing to the environment, how there are hidden consumers on many points of the spectrum, from people who are allergic to plastics like me to those who are just concerned about the environment, but also why plastics aren't as recyclable or as good for the environment as you think they are. And I do have the research, peer-reviewed science to back this up. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am a trained historian. So understanding research is extremely important, and how to find credible information, not what most people do. So check out the book. A pre-order is available. You'll get your copy by September 16th. I'm going to be meeting with my editor hopefully soon, talking about how it went into printing already. It was supposed to go while I was on my vacation. So that's what we've got. That is today's version of Let's Talk Plastics. Here we go. Why it's relevant, why we need a global policy on people with intolerances and allergies for a global standard for this. And tomorrow, I don't remember what we're talking about tomorrow. It's probably about food because I had so much fun with food, but there were some really big discrepancies in France that I was kind of expecting, but I didn't realize the difference between French cuisine and regional cuisine are two completely different things in France. And I'm going to go into my whole spiel on that and really talk about why what I learned will help the natural and organics community. So with that, thanks for watching. We will talk again tomorrow as we talk about French food versus American food. And we'll go from there. And I'll tell you why I do that. Have a great rest of your day and let me know if you have questions. You can DM me or put them in the chat. Talk to you soon.